Hi there, today on Typical Books I'm going to talk about a graphic novel, The Low, Low Woods. It's out from Hill House. This is a DC Black Label, Hill House, Joe Hill Comics sort of venture, and it is a fantastic Pennsylvania-based weird fiction story. This book is written by Carmen Maria Machado, illustrated by Danny, and the colorist is Tamara Bonvillain. And this particular cover is quite striking in that you would think that it's upside down, but it's truly upside right. And I really love the construction of this book. It has some of the wonderful variant cover used as the back, and the typesetting is gorgeous. The spine is eye-catching when it's in a stack of graphic novels. And this dust jacket is this semi-opaque sort of see-through weird plasticky stuff. I'm not quite sure. It's an acetate of some sort, I think, and it is frosted, so the printing does work quite well over top of this other cover going on. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Not being a huge fan of dust jackets, I'm so tempted to take it off, but this is one of the few books that I kept it on just because it is so beautiful. It feels so good. It does slip around quite a little bit, but I got used to it, which I usually don't get used to. I usually dislike dust jackets, but this is the first time I've taken it off. The inside is quite beautifully colored as well. The entire book, even though it does have a quite simplistic art style here and there, it is eye-catching and it does lull you into a mood. The color palette is muted with very little white to be had. I found it just a mood in and of itself, so they've done everything right there. I had picked this up as a gift for the house here because we are unable to travel right now, and even though Pennsylvania is very, very similar to Ontario, it feels like traveling in a way. And there is a bit of a shout out here to Centralia, Pennsylvania, where there is indeed a coal fire that has been burning for over 50 years, much like the town here. Now, the town itself is called Shudder to Think, with the hyphens in between Shudder to Think. Much like Truth or Consequences, it's one of those names of a town that is improbable. There must have been another name for the city. Oh, Centralia, perhaps? I don't know. But I couldn't get over that, and it's like having a main character's name that doesn't really fit with your vision or the story or anything. It's just like the author had plunked in their favorite name. I think if I have any criticism of this book, it is the name of the town being called Shudder to Think, Pennsylvania, which I guess it goes along with Erie, Pennsylvania, but that's an actual name because it's named after the lake. But Shudder to Think is just, every time I saw that, it took me out of the story. I tripped over it every single time, and not in a good way, not in a fun, weird fiction way. That is my only criticism, so I got it out of the way right now. Other people have criticisms of this book. They feel that it is a thinly veiled feminist agenda or a GLBT agenda, and it's not. It's just not. The protagonists of this book are two women of color, and they're young, and they're cool, and they're fun, and they're quiet, and they're maybe a little quirky, I guess. That is the zeitgeist these days, to have written these sort of post-millennial quirky, quiet, maladjusted teens, but it fits and it makes sense considering where they come from. Their quirks and their maladjustments fit in with where they came from, and it's very, very refreshing to read these very naturally written women, and I really enjoyed that. There's no undue sexism in here on either side, and I really liked that. I found it just to be a very compelling, weird, dark story with some very engaging characters. Much like the story in the film It Follows, it is this weird maladjustment of a strange-ish town with people who don't seem to have an eye on any of their kids and never really have, let alone one another as adults. And given the weirdness going on under the ground here in Shudder to Think, Pennsylvania, it lends a whole other level to the reasoning behind why these girls are so introspective, so introverted, so untrusting. Also, why they spend so much time alone and even in the woods around where they really ought not go. I've said a couple times there is a coal fire burning underneath the ground in Shudder to Think, and it becomes very apparent. It's nearly a character in and of itself. There are some things in the woods, and I don't want to give too much away, but it all sprouts from that particular thing. Now we meet a character later on who is that soothsayer type person who has a lot of insight. So there is a little bit of that trickery going on where the story is sort of explained entirely by this meeting this one character. So take that as you will. I found it very engaging. I liked that character a lot. I found that she was very unique in particular. She reminded me a lot of the sort of witchy, weird, paranormal soothsayer types you would see in anime. So I really did like that. Now, they don't really get too controversial either. As far as the things that are going on in this particular town, it does stay rather light. So there's nothing that would, scar you for life. I can see why Joe Hill picked this, if indeed he did physically pick this book, for this line, because it's a really great debut story. I hope to see more from this author and these illustrators and colorists and the letterer even. It's just a very well put together book. I found the writing a little bit small. I had to use my reading glasses, but that's just me. There's something in the woods. Shudder to think Pennsylvania has been on fire for years. The woods are full of rabbits with human eyes, a dear woman who stalks hungry girls, and swaths of skinless men. And the people of Shudder to think, well, they're not doing so well either. When Elle and Octavia wake up in a movie theater with no memory of the last few hours of their lives, the two teenage dirtbags embark on a horrifying journey to uncover the truth about the strange town that they call home. From critically acclaimed writer Carmen Maria Machado, author of Her Body and Other Parties, comes The Low, Low Woods, from the smash hit lineup of the Hill House Comics Library, featuring stunning artwork by Danny, who also illustrated Lucifer. The volume collects The Low, Low Woods, volume 1 to 6. I don't know if there are more, and I hope that there are. I just would like to see more graphic novel offerings from this writer. Now, it's not a super long book either, and not very involved. Considering there is a little bit of touchy subject matter, I don't think it warrants any sort of warnings for content, because they do dance around those subjects and skirt the very darkest of subjects quite nicely. If you're looking to add to your collection of graphic novels in horror, or are new to horror in graphic novel format, definitely give this one a go, especially if you want something that's not so visceral. I'm a huge fan of the Crossed series, and I don't recommend that to people lightly because it is so brutal. It is so very visceral. Fans of The Walking Dead may lose their breakfast. With this, it is the opposite. It is weird fiction. It is strange story. There is a little bit of fantastical body almost horror, but it's not so visceral, and it doesn't rely on the gross out. It is just very surreal, very weird, and horrific. I think specifically for women, considering the opening of this book, where the characters find themselves in a movie theater with no real recollection of the last few hours. I'm a huge fan of Joe Hill, of course. I haven't read every single thing that he's done. I haven't read The Fireman, but I really like that he's dipping into this sort of thing where he's becoming a producer of graphic novels. So I'm going to check out the rest of Hill House. If you've read Hill House comics before, other than, of course, Lock and Key, of which I'm a fan, definitely let me know in the comments below. Or if you had read Low, Low Woods in its original run, or if there's more, I'd love more information. So if there's any other graphic novels that you think I ought to pick up, let me know, especially horror, especially gruesome horror, or weird. I like it all. Definitely let me know in the comments below, and make sure that you have an ooky, spooky day.